So if you want to protect your car in the winter, protect your car's paint overall in general, make it easier to clean, and just make it look better overall, first link down in the description box below. If you only want one kit, use my discount code Devin25 to save $25 off. 2 or more kits, you do not need any sort of discount code for this Halloween sale. It'll be $45 off 2 kits, plus a wash mitt and some actually really nice towels. I've been using them a lot. 3 kits is $78 off, and then 5 kits is $147 off with a ton of free stuff. First link down in the description box below. At the time of this recording, there is 1 day and 15 hours left, or until everything is sold out. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another day working on our STI hatch. Yesterday, we went ahead and pulled out the engine, got her chilling on the stand over there. Discovered it's actually a 2-liter engine in a STI, which all STIs came with a 2.5. Not exactly sure if it's like a 207 or EJ20X. I'm talking with a bunch of different people right now, trying to figure out exactly what the heck this thing is, see if it's going to handle any sort of power, or if we just should, you know, throw it in the garbage and start from scratch. But we do need a lot of things off this engine, regardless of what we do. I do want to get it cleaned up. I want to get the intake manifold off with the TGVs. All that good stuff has got to come off. Power steering pump, kind of just get it down to a bare block, get everything cleaned up. Manifold's very rusty and crusty, so regardless, we'll get that cleaned up. I want to see what turbo's on this thing. You guys get the point. Today we're going to be working on the engine and potentially the bay of the STI, getting it prepped out so we can get that thing sprayed. We have to take pretty much everything out of the bay. I'm not going to go crazy like we did on the 8, where we pulled the whole entire wiring harness out. All that stuff doesn't need to come out. We can just mask it off. The 8 was a little bit different of an animal. This thing is like, it's going to be nice and it's going to be mint, but it's not going to be 10.5 out of 10 mint. It's going to be like a 9.9 out of 10, or maybe a 10 out of 10. Guess we'll see. First thing we're going to tackle is popping off the intake manifold. This whole wiring harness is going to come off with the intake manifold. We're unbolting the TGVs. So the TGV housings right there, the silver guys, from the actual heads, not the intake manifold from the TGVs. It's so much easier if you just pull everything off together. So along with the manifold and the TGVs harness, the inlet's also going to come off. Of course, the throttle body, the turbo will stay on. And I know it looks like a lot of BS going on right now with this thing, but it's really easy to just remove the intake manifold while it's off of the car. So there's 4 bolts on each side holding TGVs to the head. And then we'll have to loosen up the inlet off the turbo, some wiring connectors, and the intake should pop off. Intake manifold is off. Some more weird things going on with that manifold. There are side feed injectors, which I know came from an 04 to 06 STI. And I think like 05 to 09 Legacies, I think had side feeds as well. I know an 08 STI is supposed to have top feed injectors. Regardless though, we will be swapping all of that stuff out. I just need the intake manifold, the TGV housings, fuel lines, injectors, all that stuff is all going to be replaced. Really all I want and need from this whole assembly is hopefully the long block, if it's a decent long block. Turbo I do not care about. It's a TF035, which it honestly looks smaller than a TD04. I'm not sure exactly what that came on. Haven't done my research yet. So I need a long block, of course, the accessories like the power steering pump, and then just the intake manifold, throttle body, and the wiring itself. Everything else I don't need and I don't care about. I'm gonna go ahead and start getting some stuff cleaned up. I'm gonna pop off the turbo, plug off all of the ports on the heads, and get this thing all degreased, pressure washed, cleaned up, just so we can work on it a little bit better if need be. Looks like you're going to a goddamn funeral.
Let's figure out what it is.
I think it's a EJ20X, which is ironic because I had one of these before. And that STI swaps. Impreza, that old you never saw it.
Well, yeah, I saw that car.
It is a badass car. It is a 20X though. Went ahead, got the intake manifold cleaned up, pulled off the power steering pump, that's all cleaned up, and the full entire complete long block is nice and cleaned up as well. This thing came out really, really nice. And it looks beautiful. We have the engine and intake manifold tucked away in the back. Let's go ahead and move on to the bay of this car. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to be doing with the engine now that I know it's an EJ20. And I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this out there. If anyone has a complete running or non-running, blown up, I don't really care, EJ257, it's gotta be complete though. I want the whole thing short block with the heads. I don't need the intake manifold or any of that. It'd be nice to get an actual 257 back in this car, because based off the current research and people I've been talking to, it looks like we have an EJ20X or EJ20Y. And I think the only way to find out would be to pull the heads and see if it's an open deck or semi-closed. But like I said, I'd rather have a 2.5 back in this thing. If it was a known guaranteed EJ207, then I would be stoked. But I don't think it is, unfortunately. Especially based off all the other parts that they put on this car. Why would they put a high-end 207 in here with WRX brakes on STI, which doesn't add up? So like I said, if anyone's got a 257, let me know. I want it. We got to take a few things off of the car. Headlights are going to come off, AC condenser. I did end up pulling the AC compressor as well, just because it appears to be seized up. Tranny is going to stay in the car. No need to pull that. And then some other wiring, fuse box stuff. So let's go ahead and get this thing on the ground and start ripping some stuff off, and we can get her hopefully prepped out for paint. Things never really, I guess you could say, go to plan. They always seem to go further than the plan. I wasn't gonna pull everything apart, but now everything's apart. The only thing that we don't have pulled out is the wiring harnesses. So the plan is to completely prep this thing out as much as possible. I'll wheel it into the booth with the subframe in. I'll put the front end up on jack stands in the booth, pull the subframe, do whatever tiny bit of prep work we have left, because as of right now, the subframe is maybe 4 bolts holding it in, plus the top hats on the coils. I'm gonna leave the tranny in the car. I'm not taking that out. I cannot take that out. There's no point to take it out other than to clean it, but I need to stop somewhere. So I'm stopping pretty much here. But yeah, get it all prepped out, get it cleaned, prepped, wheel it into the booth, pull a subframe, mask, spray. Of course that's not going to happen all the day. Pulling this thing apart took just a little bit longer than I would have expected, but hey, at least it's apart. I do need to go ahead, pull this thing outside and give it a good degreasing and pressure washing before we start any sort of scuffing, sanding, final stuff. That's what we're going to move on to now. And I think I've officially found out the new name for the car. There's only one good name for this car. The name is Sus. I present to you Sus. It's only fitting. STI some sort of JDM